Hi, I'm Francesco Vitale and I'm going to present our paper titled Data Dashboard Exploring Centralization and Customization in Personal Data Curation. This is work I conducted with my colleagues Joanna Chen, William Odom and Joanna McGrenere from the University of British Columbia and Simon Fraser University. So when we talk about personal data today, we have to consider a wide range of types: documents, photos, emails, files, but also mobile applications, tracking data, logs, and many more. The range and amount of personal data that people create, save, and share every day continues to grow. And with this growth, it becomes hard to curate data, decide what to keep, what to discard, and how to manage kept things. These activities are what researchers define as personal data curation, and they're the ones we focus on in this paper, so that we can design technologies that better support user needs. There are two key challenges for designing tools that can support personal data curation. The first challenge is data fragmentation. Personal data is spread across many devices and cloud platforms. It is often hard for users to know what they own and where it is stored. This makes curation decisions more challenging than they should be. The second challenge for design are the strong individual preferences that users display. Data management and curation are very subjective activities. A tool that works for one user might not work for another. To overcome these challenges, we focus our key research questions on two complementary design approaches: centralization and customization. We ask, can providing a central overview of data from different devices and platforms in one single place help people curate their data? And can a personalized and customizable interface meet the needs of different users? Our work shows that yes, combining centralization and customization is a promising design approach that can balance conflicting user needs as long as it respects some key constraints. But how did we get to this conclusion? So we took a research through design approach and we developed Data Dashboard, a prototype system that embodies both centralization and customization as key design ideas. Then we used the prototype in a user study with 18 participants as a tool to elicit reactions. Our focus was not on finding usability issues, but on eliciting deeper reactions to the two key design ideas behind the prototype: centralization and customization. So now I'll walk you through the data dashboard prototype in detail, and then I will briefly touch on the user study and analysis. So, the data dashboard prototype consists of four main sections: activity, explore your data, quick actions, and settings. The main idea behind the prototype is that it provides an aggregated overview of all personal data that a user might have on different devices and cloud platforms, providing links to different items. In the first section, activity, users can see an overview of data that they have created, saved, or interacted with recently, like documents, messages, applications, shared data, and so on, and they can filter the data by time. In Explore Your Data, users can see an overview of all their data grouped into different types, like photos, contacts, bookmarks, tracking data. They can also customize the different types that they see in this section. And then they can use the filters on the left to sort through different items. For example, they can see data to get rid of, data to organize, private information, data to backup or sync. And when they click on one of the options, the system will show a list of items and more details. The next section, Quick Actions instead, provides suggestions for quick actions that users can take. For example, renaming documents, removing duplicates, archiving message conversations, or reviewing private information. And similar to Explore Your Data, users can filter their suggestions by using the options on the left. We designed quick actions for users who wanted proactive technologies for curating data, as opposed to users who wanted more granular control and preferred something like Explore Your Data. And then users can customize how the filters from Quick Actions and Explore Your Data work by going into Settings. Here they can change the default options for all the different filters, and they can also create their own advanced combinations. for different types of data and different criteria. And they can also add or remove different devices and accounts. So that was the prototype. And what we did is we evaluated the data dashboard prototype using interviews with 18 participants who had different approaches for curating their data. The interviews focused on 5 different use scenarios for the prototype, ranging from privacy management to everyday data curation. In our analysis of the interviews, we identified a key idea for understanding reactions to the prototype, the idea of data boundaries, an idea that past work already mentions. Data boundaries are a metaphor, invisible personal lines that prescribe where and how to store data. We did not have this idea in mind when designing the prototype, but we derived it from participants' reactions and then traced it back to related work. By looking at participants' reactions, we understood how important data boundaries are in driving curation behaviors. For example, one participant explained, "I have my data compartmentalized. The tablet is for reading, the laptop for everything school-related." With this metaphor in mind, we saw that centralization can blur boundaries. So participants had slightly more negative reactions to it and wanted explicit safety guarantees for it. Customization, on the other hand, upholds boundaries, so it was easier to accept. But when considered together, centralization and customization represent a promising design approach, one that can balance conflicting user needs. Based on these results, we discussed some key design directions that future work can focus on. First, integrating data boundaries explicitly into design by creating adaptive mechanisms that can support contextual user behaviors, and we provide some examples in the paper. Then, rethinking the language of personal data by promoting data literacy through consistency and standards. We saw how user interface language was key for supporting curation behaviors, and we think that more work should go into it. Again, we provide more examples of this in the paper. Finally, envisioning a post-cloud future focused on data interoperability, decentralization, and the idea of social storage. Altogether, we believe that these directions will help in building innovative tools that can help people have more control and better curate their data. You'll find more details about the prototype, a set of rich qualitative results from our analysis, and an outline of our key design directions in the paper. Thanks for your attention.